Hello everybody and welcome to episode 15 of Estate Planning TV. I'm your host, Christopher Small. I'm the owner of a CMS law firm, and this is the internet's most passionate show about estate planning. And today I want to talk to you about a topic that I think is really interesting. And you know what I just realized? What we're going to do, we're going to keep rolling. I got my earbuds in still. We're going to take these off. How's that? All right, perfect. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is, is important and is also really sort of close to my heart. And the reason is because we're talking about something today that goes sort of to the base level of why I do what I do, and that is to sort of give good give good advice to my clients and to keep them from making not just bad decisions, but decisions that will actually sort of go against their interests, and to also protect people, my clients and you with this video, from scams, quite frankly, and things that are, they just don't work the way that you think they will, and it ends up just costing you a lot of money for results that you don't get. And today what I wanted to talk about was the Medicaid trust. And I was sitting down to coffee with a financial planner the other day, and we got to talking about Medicaid trusts. And basically I told him, like, look, I don't do Medicaid trusts for a couple of reasons. I don't do them for two reasons. First reason I don't do them is because I don't do elder law. And for me, Medicaid and sort of Medicaid planning falls under more of an elder law guideline than an estate planning guideline, because really what you're talking about is, preserving assets when you don't have many, and also sort of trying to make sure that you qualify and do the right things to maintain your eligibility for those programs. I do special needs trusts, but those are typically created by a third party, like parents or a child, who they know is going to need some help in the future. But we're talking about these Medicaid trusts. I've also had clients come in and tell me that the classic example is, I want to move my house into a trust so that I can keep it safe from Medicaid, okay? And I always tell them, like, look, it's a bad idea. And we're going to talk about why here real quick. But to believe that, I think one's approach to estate planning should be less about trying to sort of skirt the rules and get around the rules, and should really sort of be focused more on using the rules and understanding the rules and working within the rules to take advantage of those rules, because there's plenty out there to take advantage of, to A, give you a lot of money while you're still here, B, leave a lot of money to your kids and your people, and C, create a legacy so that money is used in a good way, used correctly, used properly, and used for good, right, and not for evil, quite frankly. So back to Medicaid, though. I think before we get too deep, and I don't know how long this is going to go, it's maybe a little bit longer than I thought, but Medicaid is an income-driven program. Basically, you have to have less, and these are ballpark figures, okay, because they change all the time, but you have to have like less than $2,000 in assets to your name, and then you have to make less than like $16,000 a year to be eligible for Medicaid. So some people come into my office and they want to try to create a situation where they meet those eligibility requirements when they have significant assets. And there are people out there that will try to sell you on the idea of doing that same thing, but it doesn't work, okay? And here's why. To get those assets out of your name, you're going to have to put them into an irrevocable trust. You're going to have to put someone else in charge of those assets, which means you lose complete control. Whether you think you have control or not, things can change, and you can be out of all of those assets. You have to not use those assets for your benefit for the right or wrong things, which can get tricky. And you have to do this at least 5 years before any of this stuff is going to work, okay? Because the Medicaid people, typically they'll look back 5 years to see what you've done. And if you've done any of this sneaky stuff, they're going to be like, look, that doesn't work. All those assets, they still count for you, okay? And so at the end of the day, a Medicaid trust is really a code for a Medicaid fraud tool, okay? And if you have money, and by the way, a lot of people will charge upwards of like $10,000 for these Medicaid trusts, which is ridiculous, right? So if you want to get rid of your money, that's the way to do it. Pay a lawyer for this scam, basically. The alternative to the Medicaid trust for long-term care is quite simple. A, you can go and get long-term care insurance, which I would highly encourage you to do. A lot of people say you should do it when you're around 60. You can do it earlier if you want. I wouldn't wait too long after 60, only because you want to maintain the ability to be eligible for that insurance. And it seems expensive when you get it, but you have to remember, on the back end, when you actually need that insurance, you are going to be spending a tremendous amount of money, and insurance is going to be paying for it, okay? The second thing that you can do is, and it's similar, is you can get a life insurance policy that has a long-term care rider on it. So let's say, for example, you get $1 million life insurance policy and it has a long-term care rider on it. If you ever need assistance, if you ever need long-term care, you can actually pull out of your death benefit and use it for your long-term care. Now, when you pass away, when you die, that money that you've used is just deducted from your death benefit. So if you use $100,000 in long-term care of $1 million life insurance policy, then $900 will be paid out to your beneficiaries instead of $1 million. Got it? But those things are much cheaper to set up, much easier to set up, and they're actually lawful, right? They're actually like on the up and up. Whereas these Medicaid trusts, man, they just really skirt the line of fraud. They skirt the line of not working when you actually need them to work. And there's nothing worse than having given away all of your assets and then not having it work the way that you want. All right? So if you have other questions about Medicaid trusts, if you're thinking about doing this and you're not sure, please give me a call, 206-659-1512. I do free strategy sessions. I'll talk to you about this. I'll give you some ideas for help. And my guess is, a large majority of people that are even thinking about estate planning probably don't have these needs. But there's only one way to find out, and that's to talk to a pro and get this straight and narrow, get the good story, right? Figure out exactly what's going on. So I'd love to be that resource for you. I hope this helped. If you have questions, let me know. If you have comments, leave comments. If you think I'm dumb, if you think I'm wrong, tell me. I would love to discuss this with you. All right, so that is it for today. Thank you for watching this episode of Estate Planning TV. Once again, I'm Christopher Small with CMS Law Firm. I'll catch you next time.